Welcome everybody to RightTool for QuickBooks Online bi-monthly webinar series. Today is April 16th. Happy end of tax season, everybody. Except for people in Florida who got an extension for 15 more days. So Florida
Really?
people that are doing tax returns, you got 15 more days of customers or your clients procrastinating because they got, the ones I know anyway, interestingly enough. So we're going to be talking about version 1.032.1, which was released this morning. Thank you, Mark, for working hard last night and get it done. And we're going to talk about all the new things that you're expected to see. So we're going to talk about the free features. We actually didn't create any new free features, but we moved a couple of features that were in Pro into free. So for free users, you will rejoice because these two features are actually really, really cool. So if you've never been a Pro user, this would be a really cool treat for you. All right. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the Pro features. And there's actually an error here in the slides. I apologize. And let me actually share the slides as well.
Yeah, I was actually just about to do that, or was doing that.
Yes. If we almost always forget that if you're an accounting professional, you have to have the slides, otherwise it doesn't work. Okay. So we'll talk about the new Pro features, and there's a couple of new Pro features. We're going to do a quick update on the RightTool retreat. We'll talk about the fort. We have some updates on the fort for paid users. We added a new feature that was probably one of the most common requests that we've been getting for like 2 years, which is the ability to back up your settings on the cloud. So you can use RightTool in multiple computers and use the same settings across the board. And also be able to control, if you have a firm, multiple paid users and what settings they can use or what are the default settings that they'll be turned on so you can control their experience. We have actually quite a bit of large firms with 100+ employees, and they want to be able to control that experience when they bring people into the RightTool world. And also, we are developing two new paid versions of RightTool. One's called No Ads, and the other one is called Pro Lite. And then we're going to share with you exactly what we're thinking about that, what the timeline looks like, how to become a beta tester, all that stuff. Let's jump right to it. Let's start with the free features. So one of the biggest game-changing features, this is your words, right? The RightTool users, not ours, that we built probably like 1.5 years ago, is called the reconciled transaction indicator. And because a lot of free users haven't had a chance, so to speak, to look at this feature, we're going to talk about this feature. We're going to showcase this feature again. So let's go ahead and open that up. And I am on QuickBooks Online. I just want to show you that I am on the free version of RightTool at the moment on purpose, right? So when I open up my right navigation bar, it says the free version. So I'm going to go into the settings, into the wrench and screwdriver button. And then under error prevention, you're now going to see reconciled transaction indicator. So it's currently turned on. And the way that works essentially is if I'm looking at a transaction that has been reconciled or cleared through the bank, has been reconciled to the bank, it will tell me once I'm looking at the transaction. So for example, I'm going to pull up any transaction that I see on the screen. Let's say this one. And this transaction has not been reconciled. Why? Because there's no reconciled transaction indicator. But then if I go reconcile this account, the Visa AA Rewards Plus, so let me go into my reconcile screen. I'm going to open up a new tab. We're going to the new tab, and we are going to find that account, and we'll reconcile it. Select, hoping, yeah. So we'll check this
Only
one.
a $14,000 difference.
Yeah. Well, you know how you fix that, right? Copy and paste the balance here, and then we're done, right? Easy. If only reconciliations were this easy, right?
Yeah.
Whoops, negative. Yeah. Okay. So once you reconcile, so let's say you reconcile the month, the year, however you do your reconciliation process. Once your reconciliation is done, and you go back and open that transaction, so I'm going to refresh it. we're going to see a little indicator next to the transaction name that says it has been reconciled, and we'll wait for that to load. Sometimes it's a little bit slow in the loading time. I'll refresh it one more time.
It turns out there was another $78.15 thing.
Yeah, it could be. That's a good point. I'm
Or
gonna
it
double
could be
check.
that I messed something up.
Could be, that's possible. Let me go in. I'm gonna go into the transaction journal here. It could be that they changed the screen and we haven't tested it on the new screen. That's possible. But I'm gonna go in the transaction journal, and then I'm gonna open up the column for clear, just to see if this transaction in fact has been cleared, and this one has been reconciled. So this is an example of one that for some strange reason, Mark, maybe on this screen it's not working. I'm gonna try one more screen because I know that they recently added this copy button and they changed the screen. So I'm gonna try with.
You want me to share my screen and show you what it should look like? Because it is showing up on my screen, but I am in Pro, so maybe there's something it's being just annoying about it.
Yeah, so go ahead. Yeah. Let me stop sharing. So go ahead.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and share mine.
Go ahead, share it. So you think I was working on free just to make sure that it will work. But it could be that we goofed when we were moving the transaction, and it might be linked to a pro feature still.
Yeah, it's possible.
So we're gonna double check and make sure we fix that.
So it will be in the pro version, or it will be in the free version, to be clear.
Well, it's in the pro version for sure.
Yeah,
but I guess we didn't get a chance to test it. But the idea is to get this into the free version. This becomes permanently a free version. This won't get moved to the pro version or anything. And the reason behind this is so you can decide whether or not you're going to delete the transaction, whether or not you're going to make a change. And one of the things that Mark just did is he clicked on the reconciled link, and it opened up a custom report that shows you which line of it is cleared. And the reason why you need to know which line of it is cleared, it's because sometimes with transfers, you won't know like which side is clear. Like is it the banking side, is it the credit card side, or is it bank A or bank B, right? Because if you have two balance sheet accounts on the same transaction, that's you have to know. So I wanted to point that out. So if you are on the free version and it's not working for you, give us message us to the Facebook group so we can see what might be the cause of the problem, even though after this webinar, Mark and I will sit down and figure out why it didn't work on mine.
Yeah, it'll be it'll definitely be added in, if not Thursday, then Friday, because I have other stuff I want to put in.
Right. But the idea is that you're going to see it now under error prevention, and in a couple days that should come up. So that's a free edition. Okay. So that's the first big one. The second one is called, so we used to have two separate features. One was called display text under bank feed cards, and the other one was called additional bank details. And we had separated them, and we made additional details, the additional bank details free, and we had made the display text on the bank feeds card pro. Right now, we just kind of like cleaned that up, and then we created just one toggle called more detail in bank feeds that covers both. So when we go back into our settings, under error prevention is called more details in bank feed, and this one toggle, you turn them all off here. So just use this one that's here. This one toggle covers both. So we'll show you that one. So I'm going to go back into, and most people.
Oh, and here, you can share your screen again. I was showing it on my screen, but I realized now you actually wanted to show it on your screen. So here you can have that.
yeah. So I'm back on my screen. So most people are familiar with this one. And also I wanted to add that if you are under the new bank feeds, the new beta version of bank feeds, that's supposed to be super great, but a lot of people would agree with me that's kind of quirky, but it's also working there. So we actually fixed it. So in both versions of bank feeds, whether you're in like the old banking page or the new one, you should see it. So the additional details is both the cleaned up version of the vendor name and the original vendor of the original name of the vendor detail. And also on top of each of the cards here, if you have any data in parentheses, so this is a really good example. So this was called Visa AA Rewards Plus, and the last 4 digits of the account, which is very common when you're looking at receipts and trying to match, okay, what does this receipt belong to? Which account does this belong to? You have to literally hover over it and wait for the tooltip to load to know what is that additional information, or click on edit, go to edit account details, see it in there, or you have to look at it up here, assuming that it shows. So what we've done is, to make it just very, very, very easy to read, is it doesn't matter which account you're in, on top of each account, you get to see any data that's in parentheses. So let's just go back here into chart of accounts. And this is an old feature, so it's like not news for a lot of people here. But any data that's sitting here in parentheses, so let's say, for example, I were to put personal stuff or something like that, okay? So anything you put in parentheses, which is your own information as a bookkeeper, to give you better context in terms of what that may mean contextually. I'll refresh here and we can see it. You get to see on red letters what's in that parentheses, even if it's truncated. That's the point, right? So that additional piece of information is something that you can use. So only up to you if you put additional information in parentheses. Okay, cool. All right, so good thing that one was working.
Yeah,
would have been embarrassing. That would have been working either.
That stuff, with the exception of the parentheses, was free to begin with, so that part I was pretty confident in. We recently, this is a more of a back end change. If you ever notice that the options page is just ever so slightly acting wonky, it's because of the fact that we updated the back end of everything to be faster, so that you don't have, it doesn't take as long to load QuickBooks Online with RightTool. And so I sometimes forget about putting something in like one of the 3 spots I need to put it in. So it's probably where I just forgot to turn off the pro toggle on something on the reconcile indicator.
Yeah. So Jada's asking, what you put in parentheses, does everyone see that? Yes, that is the name in your chart of, literally the name in your chart of accounts. So anything that you name it in your chart of accounts, everybody can see it. Now the little red text on top of each card, only the RightTool users will be able to see that. Okay. All right. New transactions button in banking and reconciliation. So we've had this feature for a very long time, but for some reason we had the banking one for free and the reconcile page one pro gated, so we moved that to free as well. So basically old things are new again, and now they're put into the free version. On the other thing to mention on the free version, which is really, really neat, is when you go into the settings page and you go into help, and this is actually free version and a pro edition. We have, and we'll go back to this when we talk about the saving to the cloud, but we have 4 things that you can save: export settings, export favorites, export scripts, and export company switch, even though company switch and scripts are only available in the pro edition anyway. But you can you can export them, and then it creates this weird text file that you can email to yourself, put it in a notepad, DM text message or whatever. And then if you are in another computer and you want the exact same settings, the same favorite or settings to load in there, you paste them and then click on import, and then it makes that version, like makes that installed version of RightTool the same as the one that you had manually backed up. We also added a button to subscribe to a YouTube channel from here, most importantly because we are releasing YouTube videos every week, and the videos are tied to new features or updates to the features. So you really want to stay on top. People tell me all the time, how do I keep up? There's so many things, RightTool has over 100 features and I can't keep track. Well, you're dealing with an app that's on high speed of development. Like I don't think there's any other app in the ecosystem that brings new features at the speed that we do. So that has a challenge, which is, for some people, it's too fast, it's too much, it's too overwhelming. And we've had people that told us, hey, I don't want to use RightTool because I don't want to be learning so many things so quickly. I'm like, okay, what can I tell you? I mean, but that's the nature of the beast. So so if you subscribe to the YouTube channel and you ring the bell, so to speak, actually not so to speak, like literally almost, but yeah, ring the bell, so to speak.
Yeah.
Where you click here to subscribe and you put the little bell here that says personalized, you get an actual notification every single time a new video is posted. Okay. All right. So so that's just good to have there because people forget how to get to it. And also you can reset the defaults, and defaults is whatever we made the default settings on or off. And then if you're watching the webinar live, you don't have an issue with that, but also we want to bring new users into the fold. We have over 30,000 users. We have 30,000 users, which is amazing, from which only 400 to 500 people show up to the webinar. So what a missed opportunity there is for so many people to, and then so many people in our Facebook group have been pro users for like 2 years, and they just realized that you can do something that could have saved you tons of time. So we want people to subscribe to these webinars and stay updated. So that's also something to mention to all the free users. One more. Okay, so let's go to the next one. We're very excited to add that we added, and this is originally in the Pro edition, we added the ability to add and edit custom fields in batch from a modern report. Now, in the slides, there's a link to the specific report you need to be on to be able to add the custom fields. Now, this is a Pro feature because it's a batching tool. Batching tools in general, philosophically speaking, the way Mark and I think of RightTool is if it enhances the navigation, it's free. If it helps you save multiple steps, like RightTool free saves you seconds, where RightTool Pro saves you hours. Let's just put it that way. So anything that does multiple steps, like batch entering, batch editing, batch deleting, that stuff is only going to be in the Pro edition. But temporarily, to try to fix the craziness that Intuit has done to us, which is they announced that tags are going to be killed, and you have until May 16th to transfer the tags to custom fields. But the transfer of the tags, the migration is horrible, and like it's completely useless. And the historical transactions don't come in. We are sort of, to relieve those users that can't afford RightTool Pro, we are giving you free access to this specific tool until May 16th. So according to Intuit, you won't have tags anymore until after May 16th. So in order to help you, again, if you're a free user and a pro user, both, you'll be able to access this feature. So with that being said, let's talk about the feature. So let's go into the report. And like I said, the report is in the slides. And for future reference, all of the batch editing from reports features, they're currently under experiments, and it's called batch edit inside reports. And then in the little eye icon where you can see the description of the video, there is a link here that says, here's a list of your currently working reports. And if you click on that, I know we need a designer to make these things prettier, but we basically have a Google sheet where all the functions that we've been adding to this, and it's been something that we have to add little by little. And there's a direct link of which link you can use to batch edit that. So if you wanted to batch add 1099s or remove 1099s, the checkbox to vendors, you can do that. If you want to change a custom field in a vendor in QBO Advanced, you can do that. If you want to change a custom field to a customer in Advanced, you can do that. If you want to turn off billable time in a bunch of transactions or make it billable in batch, you can do that. Change the custom fields. Like I said, just that one, just the custom fields, that's available in the free edition until May 16th. And then changing customer projects, like this is to change customer jobs, to reclassify customer jobs inside transactions, which we introduced this a couple months ago. And then this is a really cool one that I think I'll let Mark explain this one. Allowing you to change the underlying account in a transaction without changing the underlying product or service. This is crazy. This is like a very weird thing that, generally speaking, you're like, what? I thought you have to change the product or service in order to change the underlying account. But we found a very quirky way of changing the account without having to change the item. So we'll get to that one. But let's go into change custom fields and transactions, and then we'll go back into QuickBooks here and X out of that, all the extra tabs here. So we pull the report, and again, that report, the link to the report is in the slides, and it's also in the in that link that's in there. So we can have transactions that may or may not contain custom fields. So in order to just kind of simplify our life here, is I'm going to do all dates, and then I'm also going to do a filter and only show invoices. Okay, so that just makes it, it's going to make it so much easier to visualize.
Okay. Yes, and because we are doing this in the modern reports, you do have to basically add whatever columns you need that you want to add.
Exactly. So, but for now, we're focused on just custom fields, right? So we have all these transactions, all these invoices that may or may not have custom fields. We'll find out in a second. So I'm going to go into columns and I'm going to enable the custom field. So I have a custom field called sales rep. Now I have to add some context because you've never looked at this file before, but we've created a custom field called sales rep. So I'm going to click on the gear menu. I'm going to go into custom fields and just kind of show you. This is a QuickBooks Online Plus file. This is not an advanced, it's a QuickBooks Online Plus file. And then we created a sales rep custom field that can be used across all these transactions, right? So it's enabled. So that means if you go into any of these transactions, you have the capacity to enter a custom field. Now we created a drop-down custom field, which, by the way, great news, QBO brought in drop-down custom fields now across all versions of QBO. So Simple Start has drop-down custom fields. Essentials Plus have drop-down custom fields. Simple Start has a single custom field. Essentials and Plus, for some reason, have the same amount, have 4. And Advanced has 12 of each type, which is a different conversation. But so we got drop-down custom fields across all of QBO. So in this QBO Plus file, we have 4 in total. And inside Sales Rep, we have a drop-down for Mary, John, and Hector, right? So that's the background. So I'm looking at a report that contains all of my invoices, and none of them have a sales rep, it looks like, right? So I'll go into one of these. Just going, actually, I'm going to get rid of some of these columns to make it easier to read. That way, it'll make it much easier for you to read, okay? So there's all my transactions. So I'm going to go into one of them. And we're going to see that it's missing the custom field, okay? It doesn't have the data in there. So I'm going to make this Mary. So Mary is the one that sold this job. So we'll go to save. And then we'll go back to this other transaction. We say that one. And then we'll make this, and we're doing this manually, right? So we're creating a context so you understand how painful it would be for you to have to go back historically a year, 2 years worth of transactions and have to change the custom fields in a bunch of transactions because maybe you were using tags before. That's the context. You may have been using tags. Now you're using custom fields, or maybe you weren't using tags. You just need to add custom field data. So now we start seeing our custom field data. So it's going to take me forever to go into each of these things and add the custom fields, okay? So here's the RightTool feature. There's a batch edit button in the top. And then RightTool detects which of the fields have been programmed by us as something that you can edit in batch. So in this case, it's the sales rep custom field. So we'll click on next. Then we get this kind of like the same version of the report on a format that we can actually mark these manually, right? We can just go in there and say, okay, all of these, and I can even do shift click and use a whole bunch at the same time. And if you want to run filters prior to seeing this screen, you run the filter first, and then you export the report into this page, and then you get to pick and choose, maybe select all or whatever. Okay, and then you select which of the based on your drop-down menu. Only works with Mark only works with drop-down menu.
Only works with drop-down custom fields at the moment.
Okay, so then we pick Mary. Mary is my rep. Click on Run Batch. It tells you here how many are happening in total. So it shows you kind of like how we're doing it. And basically, behind this page, you can see it. It's kind of weird. So behind this page, we're actually going into each of the transactions and doing the work for you. Okay, so it saves you a lot more than seconds. So again, this feature and all the batch editing or batch adding features in RightTool are natively pro features, with the exception of custom fields until May 16th. to alleviate for the folks that need to go back and historically add data in custom fields because QuickBooks is killing tags, or so they say. Who knows if they're going to backtrack on that. Okay, so we can go into filter, and then we can do show you a little trick here and go to sales rep, and I can say is empty. That way it only shows me essentially all of the invoices that are missing. Reps, then I'll try one more time, batch edit, sales rep, and then I'm gonna select a whole bunch of these and make it John, and then go to run batch, and then I can do 300 in one shot. And of course,
now if you're doing 300 in one shot, you might want to do something else in a different tab while that's running, because
correct. It will take a lot longer, but just kind of showing you the speed is just really fast, really fast. So something that you can do. All right, so so that's good. So that, again, that's a pro feature that's temporarily free until May 16th to alleviate for those folks that need to go back and add custom fields for clients that were using tags before, because the QuickBooks tag to custom field migration was horrible.
Now, admittedly, that whole feature probably could have been better if I actually reached out to Hector before working on it instead of after working on it, but we're going to ignore that for a moment.
I'm sure it's going to get continuously better. It's we'll get feedback, and people will tell us, okay, you know, what about this? What about that? Sometimes Mark and I are pretty good at reading between the lines and coming up with ideas, but sometimes it's your feedback, especially in the Facebook group, with screenshots, with background, that helps us quite a bit. Okay, let's move on to the pro features. So first thing, and we should have a official ceremony, Mark, every time we create a new settings category. So we created a new settings category called COA Pro, or Chart of Accounts Pro. And eventually anything that's directly related to Chart of Accounts has now been organized there, because Chart of Accounts is something that we've added a lot of functionality in, but it's very difficult to find discoverability because the Chart of Accounts based features are all over the place. So we figured, you know, what if the Chart of Accounts gets its own category, and we've added 2 new features. And you may have seen, we early released it like 2 weeks ago in the Facebook group, but this is the official launch. So we have these 2 features that we want to showcase: batch merge accounts and the reconciliation dashboard that was showcased a couple months ago, but we added some improvements to that. So we're going to discuss that in a little bit. So we're going to go to batch merge accounts. So I'm going to go into the Chart of Accounts. And for a lot of people, this is going to be a game changer. So let's say, for example, we have a couple, and how we fixed the income accounts yet, because it was only working for expense accounts. Mark, do you remember?
It was just QuickBooks, and not to blame them on that, to be clear. It's just that it changed how the Chart of Accounts worked, so we had to change how we made this feature work.
Okay. So let's say, for example, I have a whole bunch of redundant accounts here. So I have, let's say, all these accounts. I want to make all these accounts, let's say, miscellaneous income. Okay. So I grab a bunch of these accounts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever. I can shift click, I can pick a whole bunch. And if you had to, like, if you remember, if you had to merge these accounts, you have to edit one, change the name, hit yes, and wait. Edit one, change the name, hit it. It's a super painful process. So like, you literally have to go into, for example, if I want to change one account, I'm just gonna show you with one. I'm gonna change this one, go to edit, then I have to call this one miscellaneous income. Then I have to notice that these are the same here. Then I click on save. Then it's gonna ask me, are you sure? And you have to click yes. And it's just, it takes a long time. It's a lot of clicks. And see, if you have a lot of them, this is gonna be a very painful process. So sometimes I just wanna say, you know what? All these accounts are a bunch of redundant accounts. So I just grab them all. I come up here in the top and go to batch actions and click on merge accounts. And then it's going to ask me, which account do you want to merge to? And I just type the account that I want. So I want to merge it all to miscellaneous income. And then I have to click on start merging accounts. Now, one of the painful processes of doing this manually is that you also have to make sure the detail type matches. And Mark, if I remember correctly, we do the detail type matching for you. Like you don't have to go in there and change that. Okay, good.
Do everything for you.
Yeah, so we go to start merging accounts, click OK. And then we just wait. This is one of the ones that, Mark, we don't have a timer that says 1 out of 10 or 20 out of 10, maybe because it's so fast. But yeah, we just did that. So I took
probably a little slower now because of the fact that, like I said, we had to update some things, but yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna grab these more redundant accounts here, go to merge, put all of those into miscellaneous, start merging. Also, it's important to keep in mind that you cannot undo this. You can't undo this. Okay, so there's a question here. That's a very good question from Cindy, which is what happens to the sub accounts?
You know what is interesting? I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm assuming it wouldn't even merge if it has sub accounts under it, but I don't know that it wouldn't.
Right. So you either work or you get an error saying it doesn't work. But about sub accounts, so something else you can do is, for example, let's say that I wanted to make all these accounts sub accounts of one new category. So I'm going to go to new, and then I'm going to call it admin expenses. So I'm creating one generic sub account called admin expenses. I mean, a regular account called admin expenses. And then I'm going to grab multiple accounts. Okay, so I'm grabbing multiple accounts all in one shot. And then I'm going to come up here and go into change all to sub accounts. So it's a little bit different than merging. This is like just reorganizing, but it does them all in one shot. So I go to change all to sub accounts, and then I'm going to call this is admin expenses, and go to start converting to sub accounts, and I'll go in boom, 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 one at a time, and it puts them in a group for you. So if you don't want to merge, and this is something I recommend, this is more of a personal tip, because you cannot undo a merge. A lot of times, instead of merging, what I do is I create big parent categories. I create the groupings in batch, and this before RightTool, this was a very manual process. Then I show the P&L to my client, and if they like it, then I do the merging afterwards, right? Because there's no undo process. But that's really cool. And the other thing that's really interesting is, let's say, for example, that all these things are gonna change category, like they're gonna change account type. So let's say all these are supposed to go into, let's say, cost of goods sold. So this is even more interesting. So I can create admin COGS. Sorry, I know that's a weird that's what do you call that, oxymoron. Okay, so I got an account called admin COGS. Okay, or let's just say direct admin costs or something like that. Again, I know it's a weird oxymoron, and I'll pick any detail type. It really doesn't matter. And then I want to make a bunch of these accounts. So let's say all these that are sitting in some other under something else. Okay. And I go into batch actions and go change all to sub accounts. And then I go to my admin COGS, and I think it's supposed to recognize that it's even moving across and change them. So let's see. Start converting, and boom, 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 boom. It actually literally moved. So in the QuickBooks world, you have to go into each one, unsub it, and then go into it, change the category, and then make it a sub of the other category. So it all does it all in one shot. So this is, for chart of accounts cleanup, this is huge. Okay. I think that covers that.
One final thing to just show real quick, because I forgot we didn't show it at the beginning. I realize we're going on time a little bit already. Is updating the Chrome extension if you're not on 32.1, I want to say.
Yeah, let's go through that. So up here in the three little dots, in the top right, you got the three little dots of Google Chrome, and then you go into extensions, and then you go to manage extensions. What if there's a faster way to get there? And then on the top right, you have to turn on developer mode, okay? Because if you turn off developer mode, you don't get the button. So you turn on developer mode, which really, all it does, it adds 3 buttons. And then you click on update, and it does a hard update of all your Chrome extensions. And then if you go down and you look for your RightTool extension, you would see what version it is on. And you could even, one of them, you can go to details and just update that one. So you can update just that one if you want to. If you're, while you're looking at it, you're like, oh, okay, I'm not in the latest version. So the way you know you're in the latest,
by itself eventually, by the way.
Correct. Yeah.
Just this is for if you want to get the update as fast as possible.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people ask, what is how do you know which version, what's the latest version? So, and this is one of those things that in theory, you should be able to go to RightTool app and then click on updates. And then I haven't had a chance to do it today, but right after the webinar, I'll come in here and I'll update. I'll update and put the 132.1. So you're gonna see the, basically me transcribing everything from this webinar that we're releasing into this. So usually by the time we do a big release, we'll go back into the website and put it in the release notes.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about is the reconcile dashboard, and it's one that I'm very proud of because even Mark laughs. Like literally, I woke up one day at 6 o'clock in the morning. I said, guys, I had a dream about this thing, and I basically described it, and we worked on it, and this is like literally something I dreamt about. Weird, okay? But well, this is something that we have showcased already a couple of months ago, and the big change that we made is before we were limited only to bank and credit cards. Now here where it says select account type, you can reconcile any of your assets, you can reconcile any of your liabilities, or at least view it from this screen, all the equity accounts. So now you can organize it based on the type of account that you have, and everything shows in here. So it's one place to see all your reconcilable accounts, all the data about when it was last reconciled. If there's a discrepancy, you can click on any of them specifically, and it takes you into the register. If you click on the in-bank feeds number, it takes you straight into that account in your bank feeds. If you click on the unreconciled number, it opens up the register, and it filters out all the not clear transactions. So you only see the transactions that are pending to be reconciled. Okay. So this is, we're in Pro now. This is only on the Pro edition. So this is everything in the chart of accounts that we started talking about. It's only in Pro. Okay. Now, because we have Easter coming up, we added a little Easter egg. Again, we released this a couple of weeks ago. We kind of teased it out.
I could feel you're just so proud of yourself for thinking of the Easter egg thing.
Yeah. Oh no, totally, 100%. Like I was like, okay, I'm gonna add the word Easter egg to this slide. So we have an Easter egg feature that is tied on the reconciliation dashboard. So like you have to turn on the reconciliation dashboard to get this. But what's really cool is it basically shows you in bank feeds. So while I am in bank feeds, and I think some people, some Pro users have already been pretty pleasantly surprised to see this, which is if any of these accounts have been reconciled in the past, it will tell you up here when it was last reconciled. And even better, if you actually click on that, it opens up in a new tab your reconciliation page. So you get to go straight into the reconciliation page from bank feeds that you were never able to do before. Which, by the way, you could click on reconcile. That's always been available. But the thing is that it's not guaranteed that when you click on reconcile that it will land on the account you're looking at, right? Because if you go from here to reconcile, it lands on the account that you last reconciled. It doesn't specifically land on the account that you're looking at. So by having the link send you straight to that, it'll work. Now,
by the way, we weren't smart enough to come up with the idea of making the link clickable to begin with. We just had it showing the data. It was only after the Facebook group somebody suggested it. I'm like, you know what? That's a really smart idea.
Yeah. I think in general, anything that we adding a link to it would be useful. Like even like just thinking out loud, Mark, if I were to add a link to this 3358, like what? Let's just brainstorm. What do you think is the most logical thing that people expect if you add a link to this 3358?
I'm gonna just copy the people because I have the chat open. I'm just gonna say account register.
No, not worth it because we already have a button for bank register. So how is that going to be useful? So in my opinion, you click on that, it opens up the edit account drawer, assuming that you can open it from this screen, so you can change the data that's in the parentheses, right?
Oh.
So that would be because that's parentheses data, correct? So it could be like a way to edit, because right now you can edit by clicking on the pencil and then clicking on edit bank details. Okay, so you have access to it. So instead of having to do 2 clicks to open up the drawer, by clicking here, it will go straight and open up that drawer. And maybe even to get even more fancy, automatically highlight the data that's in parentheses. So it's just very, very, very direct for the person. So again, in general, if we're going to add something with RightTool, I think it's valuable to make it clickable.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
Okay. We might not even have time to talk about the project names editor. It's just such a big one. We have an experimental feature, and what I'm going to do is if I have time at the end, I'll cover it. This is actually a pretty cool one. I already have a video in the RightTool channel showcasing that, but I'm going to skip to something I really, really want to talk about, which is the new online backup or the feature. So when you are in the Pro Edition, you are going to notice that on top of doing the manual exporting and importing of your features, there's a button that says backup settings, backup favorites, backup scripts, backup company switch. And what this does is it saves you the step. You go back in here. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm going to click on help. So it saves you the step of having to export the settings and import the settings. You just click on backup settings and click OK. And you go mess with your settings, and then you're like, oh, I just want to go back to my last backup. You just click on restore settings, and boom, it sends you back to the last backup. But the most valuable thing of this here is if you have RightTool installed in more than one computer, which is probably one of the most common things that people ask me about is in one computer, I'm used to having these settings on, but in the other computer, I feel like something is broken because I forgot to go back to see what settings are on, especially because there's 120 RightTool settings. Okay. So it's hard to remember like what's what where. As long as you're in one of the files or the computer that you like the settings on, you click on backup settings, or backup favorites, whichever. And for some reason, when we refresh, it goes back into the accessibility screen. I don't know if there's a way to change that. But anyway,
change that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you back them up, and then you log into your other computer that has RightTool. And as long as you're a paid user, as long as you can log in, and you see yourself logged in, on the other computer, you click on restore backup, restore backup settings or restore backup favorites, and basically whatever your RightTool looked like in one side, it would look like on the other side. So it's just a way to I guess for like single users using RightTool, to move the settings from one side to the other or back them up. And again, we're not backing up QuickBooks or anything, right? We're backing up only the RightTool settings. Okay, now let's go to a big one, which is called the user defaults. And this one's it's gonna take a little bit.
Do you want me to show it?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Save me some saliva. Do it.
Yeah, let's go into it. Let me
and yes,
in.
everything here are paid pro or paid editions only.
Yeah.
So currently we only have a free version and a pro version. The pro is the only paid. We're gonna expand. We're gonna have more paid editions that are. We'll talk about that also soon.
Yeah. So for now, what we are going to talk about is user groups inside of RightTool Pro on the backend side. This is only available if you are an admin for the Pro user. So if you have like a firm and you have multiple users, you should be able to see this user group thing. What this is you can essentially create a user group by clicking Add User Group at the top. And then once you are inside of here, you will see there is basically a copy of RightTool settings feed inside of here. So you can select everything that you want to turn on or off inside of here. So if you have specific features you want all of the people who are working with you or under you to use, you can turn it all in here. And then you can even click in here to say disable settings in the extension. What that means is that people will still see the settings menu in the extension, but if they have this user group attached to them, they won't be able to change it. So more of a security thing for people who are like, oh, I don't want my users to be using something that could batch delete, or I don't want them to use like AI features because I don't trust it, depending on which side of that you're on. So just as an option there for people to turn that on.
And again,
Finally,
just want to add a little context. This is only contextually relevant if you have more than one person using RightTool Pro at a time.
yeah, exactly. And so what we can say is like, oh, non-deleting team member or something like that is the name that I want to put in here. I can click on save user group, and then just click only save for right now. And now you'll see inside of user groups, I have a thing that says non-deleting team members. There's two ways I can add team members to be part of that. I can either go to manage users, and admittedly, I should have more users in here to test this out. And inside of here, you can put which user group you want to put in. So I can say, oh, I want this person to be on this user group of settings. And then once you save, the next time that they refresh QuickBooks Online or they go into the RightTool options, all their settings will be updated to whatever it is that you set up inside of that user group.
And this user won't be able to change them.
Yes, exactly. And then one more thing is you'll now see when you go to add a pro member, you can, if you want, when you're creating the pro member, add them to a user group when you invite them to QuickBooks or to RightTool Pro. So just something that's available there as well. Can the user add additional features they need? If you make it so that in the user group that they have the disable, if you do not turn disable settings on, then they can make whatever changes they want. But if you do have this on, then the only way they can add additional features is if they go through you to be like, hey, can we add this feature to our list of features, essentially.
Yeah, I think it's important to contextualize why we did this. We have a lot of, I mean, as we grow, we get larger and larger firms. We have a lot of large firms that say, hey, we have a group of, like, we have one that has like 100 and something, pretty big bookkeeping firm. And they're like, when we train people, we don't want them to go rogue or get distracted with other things. So we want to control the stuff they have access to after we tested it, after we vetted it, or whatever. So we want to like open up those features in sort of piecemeal, so we can control the process and we don't have people getting distracted or playing with RightTool to see what this does and what that does. So that's what they asked us. They asked us, the admin wants to control the RightTool experience for all their staff members.
Yeah, exactly. And then one final thing, somebody said, where do you go to save to the settings to save between devices again? And I think some people asked a lot at the beginning anyways, or afterwards anyways. You can go to RightTools options, and then there's a little button that says help at the bottom left. Inside of here, you have everything you need to like back up your settings if you want to save them between either for purposes of keeping everything secure or safe on your side, or for pasting them between different company profiles. So it is all right here.
Thank you. I'll take over the last couple of minutes here. So a couple of notes about user groups. Only works for pro users. This is only for RightTool settings for now. It doesn't mess with the favorites or scripts or company switch. We're imagining what this is going to look like. I find that favorites are probably just, again, they're very personal. So we haven't found where this could be valuable. And only the admin can define the user group. And you actually, as the admin, you can screw yourself and limit yourself to doing things. So be very careful about adding yourself to a user group in which you don't have access to stuff. And this is an area that Patrick, our partner that works mostly on the back end stuff, and is working a lot of cool things that we're going to build this summer, and we're very excited about. So anything that has to do with the user groups, with user permissions, send your suggestions straight to Patrick, so Patrick can ask you all the questions and he can build that. And it doesn't always have to go to me or to Mark. Mark is very much concentrated on the extension experience, and Patrick is on the back end experience and some other tools that we're building. Okay.
Tiffany. That's a question and a half.
Okay. All right. So new versions of RightTool coming in May. So we have a new version coming on May 1st. Okay. So just a couple weeks from now. It's called RightTool No Ads. That's it. That's the name what we came up with. Okay. It's called RightTool No Ads. And RightTool No Ads is the same thing as the free feature. It won't have any pro features. We'll get rid of the ads. It would be $10 a month or $60 a year. So like at some point, Mark said, I would love to have an app that's $5 a month. Like that's literally like, I want to figure out how to build an app that's $5 a month. And this would be the closest thing to this. Why would you use the no ads feature and not the free feature? Well, one, we're going to give you access because it's a paid user. That means we actually have your information in our server. We can access some of the server side things. So we will give you access to doing the backing up to the server. So if you want to back up to the server and restore, or as we mentioned, the example of having two RightTools that have the same settings, same favorites across, you're going to be able to do that with no ads. Of course, we'll remove the ads. Okay. I know they're not very intrusive, but we remove the ads. We will give you access to the Fort content, which is we're building partnerships with a lot of other third-party app developers to create premium content for you that they're sponsoring and discounts to access their apps and add-ons at a discount. So we're gonna do the official launch of the Fort is gonna happen in May, and then we're gonna build. We're in the process of building a RightTool merch store. So shirts, hats, all sorts of trinkets. That's gonna come up in August. That's only gonna be for paid users. So we're gonna have the concept of pro users and paid users, and we're gonna use them separate because I know ads is not a pro user, but it is a paid user. Okay, that's gonna go live for $10 a month or $60 a year, and it'll be accessed on May 1st. There won't be there won't be like a free version of no ads. It'll complete. We're testing this, right? So we want to see how many people want to support RightTool. And get a little bit of additional features without necessarily taking away from the value of the pro edition. Now, no ads is an individual account, right? So it's not a multi-user account. But if you can have a firm where it has a couple of pro users and a couple of no ads users. That's totally fine. So we're going to add the ability to invite a no ad user inside of the portal, so you will be able to do that. We have to think about, Christy says, what does no ads stand for? It means no ads, no advertising. Christy's probably a pro user and forgot that there's a free version that has ads in it. Okay, the next one that we're working on, and this is going to be, we're going to be launching this in the middle of, actually, we're going to be launching this in May as well. But this is going to be a test, right? Because we're actually not 100% sure how well received this was going to be. We're going to have a user called Pro Lite. Okay, it's going to be you're going to have access to all the pro features, but you can only turn one on at a time. And the reason for that is because a lot of people come to me and say, Hector, I can't, $75 a month. I only need to batch delete once a month or once every 3 months. And I can't justify paying for the pro edition where the one feature that's in pro that I need, I only need it once a month, right? Or once every 2 months or whatever. So we're like, okay, fine. We're going to accommodate for that specific use case. So you can turn on one of the pro features at the time, okay? And not once a month, just you can use, at one point in time, you can use any one pro feature. We're going to test the price. We're thinking that's going to be somewhere around $35. You will have access, just like the no ads, you will have access to the backup server, and it won't be for a multi-user. But you'll have access to everything the no ads edition has access to. And we're going to run a beta for $15 a month for 3 months. All you have to do is click on the link in the JOT form, and we will add you to the list. We're going to control this beta. It'll be a limited beta. We're not 100% sure how well this is going to work, but if you become part of the beta, we'll give you access to Pro Lite for free through the end of the year. Okay, so you'll just pay $15 a month for 3 months to test it. And then let's say you give us all the feedback or whatever, use it for 3 months, we'll leave it on for you through the end of the year. Now, we don't want to bring any existing Pro users into this. However, if you feel that the Pro edition is not valuable and you want to go back to this and you want to try this craziness of using only one Pro feature at a time, you can, but we're going to be focusing more on bringing some of the free users into the fold with the Pro. So in 2026, once we understand what this feature really looks like and what it should look like, then we'll bring up the price to $30 or $35 or whatever we think is going to be that. Okay, so the link is in the slides. I'll put it in the
I got it.
Okay, thank you. We'll put it on the live Zoom as well. Okay, and all the current Pro users will become Pro Plus with a little plus sign. So nothing changes. Everything that the Pro users have access to, will have access to. Nothing's going to change. If you're if your grandfather in the old $50 a month price, that stays. If you are paying the new $75 a month price, that stays. Nothing changes. The only thing that's going to be different that we're going to add to our Pro Plus users is we're going to give you early access, free access to a new tool that we're developing. Okay, it's a new tool that we're developing that's going to get finalized after the summertime because we have this amazing, where's my slide on this? We have this amazing event coming up that's sold out already. So we're very much looking forward to hanging out with the people that are coming. So we have this event in July 28th to the 30th in Winston-Salem. We got 55 Pro users occupying all the 40 rooms that we booked for the hotel. We will open up 10 spaces for off-site attendees. So if you live in Winston-Salem and you're not, because the problem is we had so many hotel rooms. That was our challenge. So if you live in Winston-Salem and you want to come and drive in, we will open that up, and I don't know how we're going to do this. Maybe send an email, put it in the Facebook group or something, because I don't have the link with me. Actually,
well, we already have one person who wants to be on the offsite spot.
I do have the link. I do have the link. I screwed up. I didn't put it on the slides. Give me a second. Let me put that in there. So we have actually have that set up. That was my mistake. My mistake. So if you live in the area, let's see, offsite ticket. So if you live in the area and you want to come to the 2.5-day event, is $800, and I'll put the link here. So it's now clickable in the slides, and I'll put them in the live chat as well. So if you live in the area, if you can drive, or you want to stay in another hotel or whatever that's not in that specific in the Grayling state, you can come. But all of our hotel rooms are 100% booked. All right, and the last thing that I wanted to talk about here for Pro users, we have Seth David coming on to do a private webinar that's going to be amazing. So Seth has been building a lot of content on what's called Notion, and Notion is basically custom practice management development tool, and he's going to do a 2-hour deep dive webinar for us and kind of showcase what you can do with Notion. So we're living a little bit out of the QBO world. So Seth is formerly part of the Fort, Friends of RightTool. Is my personal friend, but he's now part of Friends of RightTool, and we're going to be, as much as we can through the year, see if we can bring him in and cross create some content that's only going to be available for Pro users. So we're going to send all the Pro users an email for access to the live webinar, which will be May 7th, right? So wait for the email. That's only going to be for the Pro users. And then once, if you can't access live, right here where it says Fort in the RightTool Pro portal, you will see the recording of the webinar here, just like the big end of the year cleanup webinar that we did with Alicia. Okay, that's it. Any pressing questions? I actually have to go to another webinar because, of course, that's how my life is after that. 18,000 webinars.
Webinar after webinar after webinar.
Yeah. So I hope we answered everything. I'm gonna go ahead and end it now. Thank you, everyone. We didn't have a chance to talk about the new project names editor feature, so I'll just send you back into our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And we should have that in there. In our YouTube channel.
Yeah, we'll make some YouTube channel videos for some of the things we didn't get to cover today.
Honestly, I think that's the only thing we didn't cover.
Well,
Was there
I
something
also
else?
want to show the editing the accounts with the batch edit, because I think that's cool, because there's
You're right.
there's some funness that can be done there.
You're right. So yeah, we do have the video up here. It's called Concept Batch Project Renamer. That was actually me showcasing the concept that I wrote in ChatGPT, and then Mark grabbed my code and implemented it. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. I will be posting mini versions of this webinar to tie to each of the features in the YouTube channel, so you can see each of the features individually. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.